Welcome to my world, everyone. This is Like It or Not with Michael Lane, and Michael Lane is who I be. The title of the video is enough to know what I'm going to talk about. I'm not going to give this demon his props by saying his name or talking much about him. We already know what he's done. We already know his purpose. But when the news came out about Uncle, and I send my love and prayers, really, sincerely, unlike the president, to those affected by this tragedy, this horrible tragedy. But the president found it again. Everybody in the mama knew exactly what this fraud of a president was going to do. He was going to use this opportunistic moment to push gun control before any facts came out. All of the facts aren't out yet as we speak. But the president found it in his heart to politicize it. And he said, oh yes, I'm going to politicize it. You've always politicized it. Always. Without getting all the facts. But isn't it funny, Mr. President, that you are sitting up here talking about gun control, but you've said nothing? And I'm going to go and I'm going to hit some personal stories in my upcoming videos that I'm producing. He doesn't talk about Chicago. He only talked about Chicago a second. And he said about the former Education Secretary, Arnie Duncan, he's got to go back to Chicago. Man, this happens every day. But he won't tell you that what happens every day in Chicago has the strictest gun control laws. Now, if the polls are correct, if 50+% of America believes in gun control laws because they are buying into the stuff that the president is saying, if that's true, I don't believe it's true. I just think that it's a bunch of mumbo jumbo and lies from the liberal media. But if that's true, that only goes to show us that America is stupid. Most of America is dumb. We already know that most of America are liberals. That's why this country is in trouble. That's why we continue to fall. That's why we continue to vote for Democrat or Republicans that are liberals. But here's this opportunist who could care less about anybody who perished or anything of that nature. Notice this anti-Christian. Notice this. What happened when the Sikh temple was shot up? He didn't talk about gun control. He talked about religious tolerance. All through the years and on my radio show, I have a bigger audience on my radio show than I do on YouTube. But some people watched my YouTube videos, constantly talking about how the president is anti-Christian, how he covered up the image of Jesus and all this stuff. He remained silent, knowing that around the globe, Christians are the most persecuted religious people in the world. He knows that. He knew this since 2012. He knew it. If this was another religion, he would be outraged and speaking out against it. Did he talk about religious tolerance? No. Instead, he talked about gun control. That's why I always talk to these so-called Christians or talk about them. He could care less about Christians, and you vote for this man, and you call him a Christian. The person who more than once dogged the very Bible that he claims to live by, and dogged the people that he claims to fellowship with. But instead, everybody say, well, he was right about the Christians. And they're Christians themselves saying this. So-called Christians. They're phony. That's why I don't mess with Christians. Christians are the biggest phonies in America. Biggest phonies. Because they support, we're living in the last days, but you support the last days. And this opportunistic president found it perfect to not talk about religious tolerance, to not saying he's being fed up with all the persecution that Christians go through. No, he talks about gun control. He talks about taking away your guns. He could care less about what happened. He loves what's going on in Chicago. He loves it. Gun control laws are not working. My friends and other people that I don't know are dying because of gun control laws. They still have excuses. And now Rahm Emanuel is saying, well, we need the families. We need the families to help stop gun violence. I thought the stricter gun control laws are supposed to do that. You clown. Anyway, you got this opportunistic fool talking about he's going to continue to talk about it. Of course he is. But he remains silent on Kate Steinle. He remains silent about Fast and Furious. He talks about gun control, but he sure don't have a problem giving it to drug cartels. No problem whatsoever. He's still quiet about Benghazi. He did say that we're supposed to hold ourselves accountable and we should answer to stuff like this. And you're not supposed to answer to Benghazi? You're not supposed to answer to Kate Steinle and illegal immigration and sanctuary cities? You're not supposed to answer and be responsible for Fast and Furious? You're not supposed to be responsible for reaching out and giving money and constantly giving free stuff to illegal immigrants and giving jobs to illegal immigrants while our American people are struggling and just suffering? But yet you can't be held accountable for that. But you want to talk about guns. And the man is crazy. He has a mental problem. Let me remind you. Yes, he's crazy, and it's a mental health problem. What's the key word? Health. What happened to this health care that became law? That $3+ trillion called Obamacare. This albatross with all that money, and it's so working and it's so beautiful that everybody's getting health care. Mental health care is not included. You can't follow up and know who's crazy. You can't look at the people and follow people's records, but you can follow people on social media. You can shut down social media and worry about what people post on YouTube and other areas and Facebook. You want to know the people's Facebook and you want to have people give their personal documents to Facebook, but you don't know the medical records of insane people? But yet you have a $3+ trillion healthcare albatross? Miss me with your fake ass outrage. You ain't answering nothing, like it or not.